Tonight, the family of Sheku Bayoh say they feel totally betrayed by the criminal justice system. It comes after the chair of the inquiry into his death in police custody resigned.
And I promise Sheku and his children that I'll fight until I get the truth. And that's what I'm going to do.
Also making the headlines, a family's plea to young people to stop filming and sharing violent attacks online. There are calls for the authorities and online platforms to do more to prevent social media fueling youth crime.
That's a sad reflection of society, that if somebody's in trouble, we immediately get our phones out, we don't try and intervene and help, we just video the trouble. That's not right.
The UK and Scottish governments clash over who should foot the £26 million bill for Donald Trump's summer visit to Scotland. And in sport, on the eve of Celtic's Europa League match, Brendan Rodgers vows to turn things around.
Never been so more motivated in my time at Celtic.
I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. Totally betrayed. That's how the family of a man who died in police custody say they feel after the judge leading the inquiry into his death resigned. Lord Brackadale announced he was stepping down just 2 months after refusing to quit over allegations of bias. The U-turn has left relatives of Sheku Bayoh feeling let down by the criminal justice system. But the Scottish Police Federation has welcomed the news. The inquiry has already cost more than £50 million. Vanessa Taft reports.
The Bayoh family's fight for answers has lasted a decade. But last night they learned that fight is far from over as the chair of the public inquiry into their brother's death resigned.
This feels like starting another leg of a long, exhausting road. I am tired. I am angry. I am scared. My brother's name deserves truth. His memory deserves justice.
The family now want the Solicitor General, Scotland's senior legal advisor to the government, to step down.
The actions of the Solicitor General and the Chief Constable riding on the coattails of the SPF is a total betrayal of the promises they made to the Sheku Bayoh family, and they should hang their heads in shame. For the very first time in the history of this country of public inquiries is that a chair has stepped down as a result of those parties saying we're not happy. That is not what this inquiry was supposed to be about.
In 2015, Sheku Bayoh was restrained by 6 police officers in a Kirkcaldy street. They were responding to reports he was carrying a knife.
I'm Lord Brackadale, chair of the public inquiry into the death of Sheku Bayoh.
The inquiry has also been considering whether race played a role. Lord Brackadale met with the Bayoh family on 5 occasions. The Police Federation claim this influenced his ability to remain impartial, undermining the whole inquiry.
I wouldn't say we're happy about it. It's unfortunate we're in this position, but it has happened. And the question that has to be asked is, a public inquiry should be fair, open and transparent. And it was clear here that that wasn't the case.
The Solicitor General said she appreciates a further delay will be a source of disappointment and frustration to the family, and that it will also incur further cost to the public purse. But she added she's duty-bound to act in the public interest. As of now, it's unclear who will take on the role of chair and when they could be appointed.
I've always maintained that I want to know the truth. So it's taken me over a decade. I'm still fighting. And I promise Sheku and his children that I'll fight until I get the truth. And that's what I'm going to do.
But that search for justice will take years longer than this family hoped. Vanessa Taff, STV News.
The aunt of a 16-year-old who died after being stabbed in a Glasgow park says her family's pain was compounded after seeing videos of the attack shared on social media. Corey McCrimmon's killer was just 13. In the months since Corey's family launched their own campaign to tackle knife crime, there have been growing calls for the authorities and online platforms to do more to prevent social media fueling youth violence. Here's our chief reporter, Sharon Fruit.
Corey McCrimmon's friends created this tribute.
It's good memories of Corey in this park, and good memories of him with all his friends. They all still come in this park, they still use it.
Over 120 days ago, they marched in Corey's name to launch an anti-knife crime campaign. The McCrimmon family later met with the First Minister to discuss greater protections and prevention.
What's happened since?
Nothing. So we're still in limbo. We feel as though it's like you're out of sight, out of mind. Unless we are out there shouting and bawling and kicking up a fuss, they've just forgotten about it.
Corey died after he was stabbed at Greenfield Park in the East End of Glasgow last May. His killer, who was 13 at the time, pled guilty to culpable homicide and was jailed for 5 years.
Kids are killing kids. What the hell is going on, do you know what I mean? At 13 years old, you can take somebody else's life. He's got to live with that for the rest of his life, do you know what I mean? We have to live with the consequences for the rest of our lives. For what?
The pair had fallen out over £50. Corey's family said it was only afterwards that they'd learned threats had been made on social media. Online activity had escalated and led to a confrontation in Greenfield Park, where a large number of young people had gathered.
People saw what happened. Loads of people. We saw videos, we saw stuff. We know what happened because they were sent to us. In your worst days, you do not need. That's a sad reflection of society, that if somebody's in trouble, we immediately get our phones out. We don't try and intervene and help. We just video the trouble. That's not right.
And they're in a home, in a bedroom, posing with machetes.
This Lanarkshire MP spent the summer researching the level of knife crime on social media after being sent footage from concerned parents in her constituency.
The cases that I've told you today are posts on social media. They're not private messages between children. They're stories. They are accessible to everybody. We absolutely have to hold the social media companies to account. This stuff should be taken down immediately, and there should be consequences if it isn't.
Police Scotland has launched Operation Stardrop to closely follow trends in youth violence. Part of this includes working with academics to examine the underlying causes.
We are seeing instances where actually groups of young people are calling one another out on social media, and that's then leading to conflict on the streets. But again, I would reiterate that actually what we are seeing in terms of youth violence is that it is now actually dropping off and is in a very steady position. So I think it's important that we don't overreact and that we understand that problem properly.
For now, the focus of investment is on education. This campaign, developed by the Scottish Violence Reduction Unit, urges young people to think twice about the filming and sharing of violent incidents.
You know that someone's carrying a knife, what would you do?
I would go home. I would just get the police officer in my school.
At this session at the Glenburn Centre in Easterhouse, youth workers take teenagers through different scenarios.
Your friend posts an image of themselves on the internet of them holding a knife.
How I tell them to delete it. I feel like they're just showing off in a way and they just want your attention.
Where is a safe place to stab?
Challenging deadly myths is part of another national strategy.
Oh my days, there's no safe place to get stabbed.
The Scottish Government say its heartfelt condolences go to Corey McCrimmon's relatives and every family that has suffered unimaginable loss due to knife crime. A spokesperson added they are waiting on further information to answer Corey's parents' questions before arranging a date for a second meeting with the First Minister. Corey's aunt remains determined to press for change.
Please think about what you're doing. Knives don't solve, they just create problems. They don't make the problems go away, they just make bigger problems for you if you use it, and massive problems for whoever you've used it on. That boy still has his life. He'll be out by the time he's 18. He'll be able to go live his life. Corey was taken away at 16. He never got that chance.
Sharon Frew, STV News, Glasgow.
The MSP Colin Smith has appeared in court charged with voyeurism and possession of indecent images of children. The South of Scotland MSP appeared in private at Dumfries Sheriff Court. The 52-year-old entered no plea and was bailed. He was suspended by Scottish Labour following his arrest in August. The Scottish Government has accused the UK Government of being at it in a row over the cost of the US presidential visit in the summer. Donald Trump was in Ayrshire and Aberdeenshire in July, sparking a major security operation. Ministers here had expected Westminster to cover the costs, but the UK government says the visit was private, so it should be covered by the Scottish government. Our political correspondent Ewan Petrie reports.
During his 4-day visit, the US President met with the Prime Minister at his Turnberry golf course.
Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you later.
The pair then travelled on Air Force One and the President's helicopter to Aberdeenshire. Donald Trump also held talks with the First Minister and EU Commission President.
It's a beautiful Sunday.
A few weeks later, the Vice President also visited South Ayrshire. The Scottish Government argues the visits were more than just private, so the UK Government should stump up the cost.
Why did they have press conferences with them? Why did they engage in international diplomacy with them if this was indeed just a private visit? So it's very clear to anyone watching that the UK Government is at it here. They know fine well that there was business conducted government to government, and they should, as a consequence of that, be paying the bill for this visit.
The bulk of the bill is made up of £21 million for Police Scotland for the US President's visit, with just over £3 million for his Vice President. That covers overtime and drafting in officers from across the UK. There were additional costs for the Fire and Rescue Service, South Ayrshire Council and the Ambulance Service, as well as NHS Grampian, bringing the total to almost £24.5 million.
He wasn't invited and he came to play golf, so no, definitely not Scotland to pay for it.
If it benefits the whole UK, then the UK government should pay for it.
He was in Scotland, so Police Scotland were responsible, therefore the Scottish Government are responsible.
They'll get far more money from tourism and from everything that Donald Trump brings to the economy.
Despite the high-level meetings, the UK Government insists responsibility for costs still rests with the Scottish Government.
These visits by the President and the Vice President were private visits to Scotland, and of course policing is a devolved matter for the Scottish Government. The UK Government only pays for security costs when the visit is an official visit on the back of a formal invitation, and that wasn't the case this time.
Policing the presidential visits has developed into a political row, one that has left officers fearing increased pressure on their own budget. Ewan Petrie, STV News.
A political editor, Colin Mackay, covered the President's visit. Colin, what do you make of these costs and the row?
There was always going to be a battle over who should cover the costs of the presidential visit to Scotland over the summer, because it was much more than just a flying visit. This was the travelling court of Trump coming to Scotland, where he met other political leaders on his terms. The President of the United States of America, as Ewan mentioned earlier, invited the President of the European Commission and the Prime Minister to come and meet him on his turf at Turnberry. And all this came just a year after 2 attempts on the President's life. So there was always going to have to be a huge, an enormous police presence. 3,500 officers a day, it turned out. And I was at Turnberry. I saw the heavily armed police and the army on the roof of the hotel. Everyone going in had to be individually searched. Every vehicle going in was searched. It was the same in Aberdeenshire. Both had to be completely surrounded by the police, and both governments were involved. The Prime Minister and the First Minister sat on either side of Donald Trump at dinner. This is a bill that they really thought they were going to have to split. They probably will have to split that. And if they don't, this argument will just end up as part of the election row. And they can't let it and leave it to Police Scotland to pick up the pieces of this.
Colin, at the Scottish Parliament, thank you. The former Conservative leader of East Dunbartonshire Council has been convicted of romance fraud. Andrew Paulson scammed Anne Kelly into handing him £188,000 in a property scam between May 2021 and March 2022. The 53-year-old was found guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court today. He was also found guilty of embezzlement of more than £9,000 from a Christian radio station. He'll be sentenced next month. The Director of Education at Glasgow City Council has resigned over text messages he sent about the local authority's budget. Dr Douglas Hutchison had responded to messages from a councillor which, the council claim, could have undermined the 2024 to 2025 budget. He resigned with immediate effect yesterday. Dr Hutchison brought the messages to the attention of the council's chief executive himself after rereading them. In a statement, the council said the messages may have breached rules on political restriction. Pictures of Glasgow, past and present, are to go on display in a special exhibition. Still Glasgow will see 80 pictures displayed in the Glasgow Museum of Modern Art, giving a fresh look at the city, its people and its photography. It's aimed to answer questions from out-of-town visitors who want to know more about the city's past and present. The exhibit will open in November of this year as part of Glasgow's 850th anniversary. It'll also open when the museum celebrates its 30th birthday. It's believed that around a third of Scottish children experience bullying at school, prompting a new campaign to educate young people on the dangers of bullying, as well as the resources available to them. The Power of One is a collection of 5 interconnected films following the perspectives of Noah, who is being bullied, those closest to him, and the child bullying him. The film will be shown in schools across Scotland next month, and our reporter Vidushi Tiwari caught up with some of the series' young actors.
I couldn't escape. Noah, we know something's going on.
The story of a child being bullied.
I just wanted to make him feel as bad as I felt, that's all.
And the child doing the bullying. The stars of this powerful new series want their peers to know they're not alone.
A character is Noah. He's like this kind of awkward kid. Who's getting bullied. Through the story, it gets progressively worse and worse up until like the end of episode 1.
Grace was everywhere now. He couldn't escape her.
Hoping people take away this idea that there are other routes through getting through this.
When someone gets bullied, the first thing they think is, this is the end of the world, like, I'm not going to have friends ever again. But it's never the end of the world. Things will get better, and you'll never be alone if you talk to someone.
It's told from the viewpoints of Noah and his bully, as well as Noah's best friend, parents and teacher, to show children that bullying is never acceptable and how to find help when it does happen.
We would like all children to be able to see it, to raise their awareness about bullying, to prevent bullying from happening in the first place. It's a really wicked problem, and it's complicated. And if we could fix it, we would have done it by now.
It should be seen by almost every school child in Scotland, and I think that's a tremendous starting point.
Anti-Bullying Week kicks off on the 10th of November with screenings of The Power of One in schools across Scotland. Summing up in Amari's wise words,
to be yourself is the coolest thing, I think.
Vidushi Tiwari, STV News.
To sport now, Rahman, the focus has been on Rangers and the new head coach and all the rest of it, but tonight Celtic in the spotlight.
Absolutely, John. Big game for Celtic tomorrow night. It's already been described as a must-win. They play their next Europa League match. The issue is Celtic's form isn't very good at the moment, but Brendan Rodgers says they'll get it right and has come out fighting at his media conference today.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Good evening. Yes, Brendan Rodgers says he's more motivated than ever to turn Celtic's form around, starting against Sturm Graz in the Europa League tomorrow night. Rodgers also says he has no regrets about his Honda Civic comments at the weekend, which appeared to question the quality of his squad. Here's Ron Charters.
Celtic are under the cosh. They've fallen further behind in the title race. Their fans are engulfed in a civil war with the club's board, and questions are being asked of their manager. Today, though, Brendan Rodgers says he's up for the challenge.
I've never been so more motivated in my time at Celtic. I think that, you know, if I look at my own style as a coach, I would say I'm it's a transformational style. So I think I can come into a club and teach and inspire and motivate players. So I'm so determined to try and turn the feeling around and the feeling on and off the pitch.
With questions over the team's style of play, a lack of goals and the mentality of the players themselves, Rodgers accepts he's got a job on his hands.
I love this club. I want this to be the best it possibly can be. It's not the face. I want us to show what we've seen at the weekend, both off the pitch and on the pitch. That isn't what Celtic is about for me. You know, you don't. It's not all about winning trebles and doubles and all the things. You have to stand up and fight, and or else it's over.
Following the defeat to Dundee, Rodgers compared his squad to a Honda Civic rather than a Ferrari, and the Celtic boss is standing by his comments.
Listen, it's something that I said at the time, and I said it because I felt it. So I've got no regret now. I was based around the speed in our team. Clearly, it's not the same as what we had last season. So, and I'm pretty sure both of those cars got a different speed. So that was the reference to that.
Celtic welcome Sturm Graz in the Europa League tomorrow, with Daisen Maeda still missing with a hamstring injury. Ronnie Charters, STV Sport.
Derek McInnes says Hearts need to embrace being in the spotlight ahead of their top-of-the-table clash with Celtic this weekend. Hearts at 5 points clear of the champions, but McInnes has warned that it's the game and not the Premiership table which demands his full attention. Here's Jamie Warthwick.
Their thrilling start to the campaign is the talk of the town and beyond. Now, Hearts' weekend showdown with Celtic is one of the most eagerly anticipated Tynecastle matches in years.
There's a lot of focus on us and a spotlight being shown on us at the minute, but we've got to try and embrace that. And why would we know? Do you know what I mean? We're working for a big club, we're working for an ambitious club. And we believe we want to be successful, we believe we can be successful, and who's to say we can't be successful this season, whatever that success looks like.
Hearts extended their Premiership lead to 5 points on Saturday night. Then watched as Celtic were stunned at Dundee the following day, with McInnes' men defying expectations and the champions playing catch-up. A Sunday blockbuster is anticipated in the capital.
If we can go 8 points clear, that would be good shooting from us, there's no doubt about it, but we could also only be 2 points clear, and for us we just need to full focus on the game. The game demands our full attention, and it'll be getting that. We understand that we're only, as I say, 8-9 games in after Sunday. If we can win, I think it'll be brilliant for confidence and belief. If we don't win, it's not going to stop us keep trying to believe and be confident with our work going forward. But there's 3 points available, we'll do our best to try and get them.
Hearts record signing Agiu is back in full training and in contention to feature at the weekend. Jamie Borthwick, STV Sport.
Now ahead of Rangers' Europa League match away to Brann tomorrow night, Chairman Andrew Kavanagh has backed the quality of players signed in the summer but accepts they have yet to reach their potential. Danny Rowe's squad trained earlier before flying out to Norway. Rangers have lost both matches in the tournament so far, and due to the team's terrible start to the season, the spotlight has fallen on recruitment. One of the criticisms against Kevin Thelwell was the money spent in the summer transfer window. The club said it was a £20 million net spend. Are you happy with the way your money has been spent in the summer?
I am. I actually think we have yet to see the best from our squad. Again, I don't think the squad is complete. Didn't believe that in August when the window closed. I don't believe it now. But I think that we have brought in a bunch of great players that if they can play up to their potential, we will see a much, much different performance.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
And one final piece of football news. Hamilton Accies have been deducted 6 points and fined £22,000 by the SPFL after being found to have breached multiple league rules while under a transfer embargo, which includes making payments to amateur players and trialists. The club do have the right of appeal. John.
Interesting to hear that, Alan. Thank you for that. Let's go to the weather with Sean. And Sean, we talked about the Knights Fair drawing in a couple of weeks ago, but I mean, we're really noticing the change
really now. And of course, we're leaving in the dark now. And if you're wanting daylight for leaving at 6:30, you're going to have to wait until about the 10th of March. Oof. Long wait before we get that light back. But have a look at this. You probably had the lights on at home for 45 minutes so far. Edinburgh, Glasgow, sunset time was about 6 o'clock. Of course, we're putting the clocks back this week, fall back. So if you take that hour off and you take the 20 minutes of light we're going to lose in the evenings, by the end of next week, we'll be putting the lights on probably about 4 o'clock. So some big changes and colder weather on the way too. Let's have a look.
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
So things are going to turn colder towards the end of the week, all down to this little storm here, Storm Benjamin, being named by the French Met Service because we don't really need to worry about it for once, because it is the north of France that's going to see the worst of the wind and rain across England, the Netherlands, Belgium, and then he heads his way towards Denmark on Friday. And by the time he gets to Denmark on Friday, it starts to pull in colder air for us. So that's the main thing from Benjamin for us, is a cold wind developing on Friday. Talking of chilly, a cold one to come tonight, especially if you're in South Lanarkshire. Temperatures probably down to about 2-3 degrees Celsius in some spots, with a wee touch of frost and some mist patches, same parts of Stirlingshire as well, fairly low temperatures. So a chilly start to tomorrow here. Tomorrow, good news is, for most of us, it's a dry day with sunshine. We will see some scattered showers coming into the likes of Colonsay, Jura, Isla, Mull, Kintyre, maybe 1 or 2 in Arran, down towards Ballantrae and Girvan as well. But for most of us, as I say, it is dry and bright. Temperatures, afternoon highs, 9-10 degrees, 10 is 50 degrees in Fahrenheit. Now, the air temperatures are roughly still going to be the same on Friday, but the thing that's going to make it feel colder is the strong wind, particularly strong down the west coast and across the island. So feeling cold in that wind. Still windy around northeastern parts on Saturday, but a northerly, a good direction weather-wise for us. It'll be dry and bright, but it definitely will feel a bit chillier. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
The era of so-called cancel culture is over and common sense has triumphed. That's according to the journalist and broadcaster Piers Morgan, speaking to STV's Scotland Tonight programme to mark the launch of his provocative new book. Morgan argues that wokeism was a huge threat to free speech, but has apparently had its day.
I think one of the worst things about wokeism has been the assault on free speech. The idea that you can't express yourself freely, you can't say what you really believe, because someone is going to get up and say that you're hateful, you're something ending in ist or ick, you're sexist, you're racist, you're homophobic, you're whatever you are. And often the person who's been saying whatever they want to say is none of those things. And I wrote the book because I genuinely think it's been one of the more insidious things that's happened to any free democratic society in my lifetime. And I'm very glad it's on the way out.
You can watch the full interview and worth listening to in this evening's Scotland Tonight at 10:45. That's it from us. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.